BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports contests and events with first-to-market odds and lines. What's up, y'all? It's your man, Lloyd Spence. And listen, all you got to do is find your reviews and news for every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, and even golf, all at betonline.ag. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all your sports information, from live in-game betting, props, and futures. So, head to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join today and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV50, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. It's BetOnline, it's where the game starts. Tell them the noise makers sing.
Popcorn world. Popcorn world. Yeah. Can I make you move now? Yes, I can. So you can get this movement up back of a can. You can make it round the world when it holds in your hand. Popcorn world. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. I said popcorn make you smile. Ah. Popcorn world. Popcorn world. Popcorn world. It's a popcorn world. It's a popcorn world.
You're now listening to the Brothers of the Five. At shooting guard, it's your boy, Killer Cam. At small forward, it's Reggie Love. At point guard, Steve Major. At power forward, Al B. And at center, Mr. Noise, Lloyd Spence. And now, the Brothers of the Five.
Add one more plus me into the
We are back with the Five, although we are 3 out of the 5 tonight. Although the 5 is really not about how many people it is, but how many questions there are. We are coming in hot tonight. We will not delay. We're jumping right in because what does he ask? I just want to know who does the vocals for the Fly. That's our boy Shake Anderson. He be killing it with the 5, with the Popcorn World. The same guy that does the 5 intro. He does the Popcorn World. But yeah, we're coming in hot tonight, right off the top. The breaking news from 2 days ago is that Robert Sarver, the owner of the Suns, was suspended for 1 year and fined $10 million. I got to tell you guys, based on what I have heard about this story and all of the things that have gone down with this story, we are about to see Donald Sterling 2.0. That's my prediction. I don't think for 1 second that the players and the lead dog has already spoken, by the way. LeBron James has already come out and said, shame on you, NBA. Adam Silver said, well, I didn't have the power to. Okay, but somehow Donald Sterling's team ended up getting sold. Surprisingly, you didn't have the power. So I think as training camp opens, this is going to pick up momentum, and it should. I'm trying to understand, though, this part. How did somebody like this get a team in the first place? Because he was like this when he bought the team.
Hello.
He was like this when he made his billions. He's been like this his entire life.
You know money talks, man.
But I'm saying, why are we shocked now?
it's a different time now. It's different. Everything's a lot sensitive now, so you can't just go around saying stuff you used to say back in the day because everything's at a fever pitch now. So
So prior to now, you could use the N word, call people a nigga without any impunity. But now, don't do it now. You're wrong now. I'm just saying,
yeah.
he's been this guy. I guarantee you, if the NBA had vetted this guy, they would have found all of this in his background and more. So it just to me, this is just to me, feels a little bit hypocritical now, but the only outcome to me that is going to satisfy everybody is that this dude's going to have to sell the team. Yeah. That's just my opinion. But I love to hear what my brothers of the five have to say about that.
I would love to see what Chris Paul is going to say, since isn't he still the player representative? Or
no, actually he is. I think I want to say CJ McCollum is now the president of the Players Association.
Yeah, I would love to see what Chris Paul says, because I know he's a big player advocate.
Oh, for sure.
So I definitely know, and him going to that. Yeah, going to the team, and you've had conversations with the owner, and getting you there. How are you going to react, and how that's going to affect you and the team. I think definitely would love to hear what.
I'm correct. It's still Chris Paul. Well, what position did CJ? No, it was CJ McCollum. That's what I thought.
Okay.
Yeah, CJ McCollum is now the president. Grant Williams is now the vice president. So,
yeah, it's very interesting. Like you said, it's like the Donald Sterling situation, which they definitely had him go ahead and sell the team. So I think, like you said, it's going to be a lot of bidders for the Suns, and they're definitely upcoming. Championship team that they've been, for the last 2 years. So it's going to be a lot of interest. And it's another thing of racism in the NBA that, just creeping up. I'm shocked. It's probably going to be more though. Sure.
Can I ask this question? Because this is the elephant in the room. Should an owner have to sell because of the things that he does in private? I'm asking.
I think it's because he's in the limelight. His team is in the limelight, but I'm sure there's a lot of these cases, smaller cases, where this is happening, but I'm not sure the results. But I definitely think it's because he has an NBA team, and I don't know if the mom and pop shop owner that does this had to sell their business. I think it just comes with the territory at this point.
But are we opening up? Because I remember Mark Cuban said something to the effect of, "Well, we opening up a slippery slope if we keep policing everybody's private conversations." Well, are we? Because should your private conversations?
This is the away travel uniform.
Well, I don't know what just happened there, but should your private conversations be like this?
Big Brother's always listening anyway, so it don't really. Somebody's listening.
I'm just Cam. What are your thoughts, brother? What are your thoughts? Talk to us, Cam. Because LeBron said they definitely got it wrong. He said he's had some private conversation. Adam Silver says he's talked to some private conversation. He'll leave it at that. You need to speak to the players directly. But LeBron said there's no room for Donald Sterling in the NBA. This is what he said about Donald Sterling. Where's the current LeBron comments? I was trying to find them. Let me get to his social media post. I'm sorry. I thought they put it in the article. They just put the link. Read through the Sarver stories a few times now. I got to be honest. Ali definitely got this wrong. I don't need to explain why. Y'all read the story. Decide for yourself. I said it before, and I'm going to say it again. There's no place in the league for that kind of behavior. I love this league. I deeply respect our leadership, but this isn't right. There's no place for misogyny, sexism, and racism in any workplace. Don't matter if you own a team or play for the team. We hold our league up as an example of values, and this ain't it. Your thoughts, Killer Cam. And don't be parsing your thoughts just because the white Marcus Smart just showed up.
Hey, that's my best friend, man.
I'm just saying.
Cam, I'll see you on Friday.
There you
Yes,
go.
you will.
All
right. I mean, it's almost like you got to do background checks on even ownership and stuff like that these days. I don't know, man. It's tough because you're talking about people with money. People with money got a lot of power. Listen, it's other people out there that's probably way worse than what we seeing right now. They just know when to shut their mouth and know when to say what to say and all that. So I just don't know if stripping them for whatever. I mean, I'm almost scared to say something because I don't want no backlash to come towards me. I don't know if stripping them is the answer. It's not the answer. I mean, you can't
think it is the answer.
Yeah, it ain't the answer. So, if it's my establishment, if I bought the establishment, if you don't like me, you can kick me out or something like that. But just taking what I got and voting me out, I just, but the NBA and the NFL, all of that is a fraternity. You can be dismissed by the majority. You know what I mean? So I think in the world we live in today, you got to watch what come out your mouth. You're going to be judged by what come out your mouth. Simple as that. I got feelings about stuff, politics, presidents, and all kind of stuff. I choose not to say something because I don't want to offend somebody else. I don't want nobody to start judging me off of my thoughts because I definitely don't want to judge somebody else off their thoughts. But here you're dealing with a predominant Black industry. So you better be careful what you say, no matter how you feel. You can't just say what you want, pop off your mouth. So it's an ugly situation. It goes hand in hand with the world we live in today.
Facts.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, like I said a minute ago, the white Marcus Smart has shown up, aka Jesse Wright. Jesse, your thoughts? We're talking about Robert Sarver here. Your thoughts, sir? Did they get it right? The NBA blow this one. LeBron seems to think that they did. But what are your thoughts?
With who?
Oh, Robert Sarver.
Who's that?
The Suns owner.
Oh, I apologize.
That's okay. I just had to trigger it. You just getting,
Yeah, no, I apologize.
No problem.
I don't think they went far enough at the end of the day. There are certain lines you can't cross, certain things you can't do. When you've got decades of precedent, you've established exactly who you are and what you're capable of and what your levels of accountability around you are, and that nobody's set them historically. And therefore you were going to push every single boundary to the limit of, what your innate personality allows you to, actuate. And all of that, I say that, he shouldn't be an owner in the NBA anymore. There are more deserving and people that are perfectly capable of picking up a franchise and taking it to the next level that, I don't think he should be. I think once you cross certain lines, you shouldn't have certain aspects of privilege. And it's not about, well, this guy's worth $1 billion, right? Well, there are other people worth billions of dollars that aren't going to cross those lines. So you lose. I'm sorry. You can go buy something else and see if you can figure it out there. But you've lost your opportunity here. And we don't seem as a society to be willing to draw that line enough or draw that line hard enough. And that's because they have more than we have. And because they do, we're always going to acquiesce to them. And I think that's unfortunate. I think the NBA had an opportunity to stand out from the rest of the leagues. I think they had an opportunity to set an example and a precedent for the NFL, for the NHL, for Major League Baseball, and a lot of different areas that, would have set precedents for, how these things are handled in the future. Now, I think it's one of the largest or most aggressive fines and periods of absence that have ever been imposed on super powerful people, to Cam's point, and I think that's all well and good. You're still well fucking short of the line, and you're still well short of where we should be as a society. And until we start saying that racism and sexism and harassment and uncomfortable environments and inappropriate environments, until we across the board start drawing very hard lines as a society and say these things are unacceptable. I don't care where you live. I don't care if you live in Poland. I don't care if you lived in Iran. I don't care if you live in South Korea. I don't care if you live in Georgia or Michigan. This is unacceptable behavior. And the humanist in us needs to rise up collectively and say that there are certain things we are just not going to tolerate. And until we do that collectively, to the point that our message is heard, then I think we're always going to fall short of that line. And that's unfortunate. But the NBA had an opportunity here to, I don't know what the ownership rules are or collective bargaining agreements or things that stipulate what he can and can't do. I'm not privy to that. I can do some more research on it. We can follow up, but I'm just speaking, from my heart. Until we're able to tell the most important people in the world, or the people that think they're the most important people, or the things that define our society, like money, that define the most important people, until we're able to draw those lines there, we're never going to have a precedent as a society that we're able to fall back on for everybody else. And
very, very well stated. I'm going to tell you something, though. I mean this from the bottom of my heart. I don't think this is over by a long shot. I think with LeBron standing up the way that he did, and he normally is the first out the gate with this type of stuff, and today was no different.
But where was he a year ago?
Well, I think he was where most of everyone was, waiting on what the totality of what this was. Because while the story broke,
but you don't think LeBron knows 400 people in the Suns organization?
Hold on a second. While the story breaking the way that it did, and it still needed to be properly investigated and properly vetted, I understood stand back until you understand and know. So now that you understand and know, and then also stand back and say, let's see what the league is actually going to do. And I think that's kind of what he was trying to do, is to sit back and say, let's see what the punishment really is going to be. And I think now that we see it's again, unprecedented money, unprecedented suspension. We get it, but not nearly enough. I do believe that this is going to hit a fever pitch. And see, here's the other part. I think once the players start saying something, and let's see how, more specifically, like Chad said, let's see how the Chris Pauls and the Devin Bookers, how they respond on the opening day of training camp. Once they actually start speaking up, and that starts to trickle down into the money part of it, which is where the sponsors live, where all that stuff. Now you're going, because that's what happened with Donald Sterling. They weren't going to kick Donald Sterling out, but when it started spilling into the money, and sponsors started saying, "Well, we're not going to support the Clippers, so we're out on that," and it started hitting those dollars that way. That's when the private conversation started happening, and somebody got to Donald Sterling's wife and said, "Is there any way you could help us sell this team?" And she was like, "Absolutely, I can. I own half the team. I'll sell it." So there you go. So I think that's. I don't think this is going to be any different than that. I think it's going to hit a fever pitch at some point.
Lloyd, I got to play devil's advocate for 2 seconds.
Sure.
The only thing that I have to say about that is that if LeBron had a stance on this, it should have been voiced when, in the context of, if this happened, this should be the result. If you're a leader, lead the change, right? You don't come in after the fact and say, "Oh, yeah, well, that guy decided this, but maybe it should have been this." I get things haven't been decided yet, but he is the face of one of the most profitable businesses in the entire world, right? It's globally recognized. He stands at the forefront of all of it. And to not have an opinion until after a verdict is decided, to me, is weak. And the only thing I'll say is I thought George Floyd would trickle down into society. I thought the results of Columbine would trickle down into society. I've been proven wrong at every single turn, right? By gun lobbyists and racists and everything you could possibly imagine in between, that, you know, until we have people like LeBron James standing on top of a mountain at the beginning of an incident saying how unacceptable these things are and what the penalties for those actions should be, we're not going to get societal consent. And until we do, we're always going to be behind the eight ball, reactive to what somebody else decides is an acceptable penalty in the moment. And then we can say, you know, in our Twitter conscious worlds, okay, well, I thought it should have been a little harder. Well, where were you a year ago?
Well, but where he was a year ago was waiting to see what the penalty was going to be. So
well, you can say what happens if, right? You can say what happens if.
You're missing the point. I can't react to something that hadn't happened yet. I can react to what the story is alleged to be, but right. It's just a story. It's a story. And by the way, stories, people get the story botched up all the time. I'm talking to you, Doug Gottlieb, who got it completely wrong and had to go back and apologize. So people get the story wrong all the time, wrong sources, bad sources, whatever. So the NBA had to do its due diligence. They did. And now he's able to come out and say, hey, we got this. You guys got this wrong. So I don't fault him for being paused. I don't fault anybody for waiting till all of the true facts have come out. So I'm not going to beat the guy up on that.
So LeBron couldn't give his opinion before? He gave his opinion about everything else?
You can, but if a guy wants to wait until it's truly investigated, because all this was, think about what this was. Initially, this was just the guy, I apologize, no disrespect meant to the journalist. I apologize, but I cannot think of his name right this minute. But the journalist that broke the story for ESPN, it was just a story. And had he not broken that story, none of this would have happened. None of it would have happened. So I think the due diligence part of this is you take the story, you investigate it. The NBA, now the good news is the NBA took it serious. They didn't take this story and just say, oh, it's full of shit and it's not going to be a big deal. Let's just go ahead and move on. They took the story and ran with it and said, let's investigate it. And they did, and here we are.
I wish LeBron would. It'd have been more relatively coming out of his mouth saying something before anything. Listen, he can say something before the verdict is out, before he know the story, but he can give his opinion about what he feel like about what he's heard.
But if he doesn't know the whole thing, then why would you give your opinion?
And he gives his opinion about everything.
But what if it's all wrong? What if the journalist got it completely and totally wrong?
No, regardless of this specific incident, there should have been a platform from the leaders in the NBA that says, if anything like this is happening, let us know. If anything like this is happening, come to us for a safe spot of respite. If anything like this is happening, know that we run this motherfucker and we will fucking expose anything that happens.
Hold on, stop and clarify your comments. What do you mean? Who are you talking about, if anybody? Who are you talking
Anybody about? In the Suns organization that starts getting sexually harassed, and LeBron James has a platform that says, this is what I'm against. If there's inequities, if there's harassment, if there's racism, come to me. I will be your advocate. That changes the conversation from day one 100%. Because there's a safe space that is so high and so powerful in that league.
You think that's LeBron James' responsibility?
It is if you want to lead forward. It absolutely
is. I emphatically disagree with that. That's not his responsibility. That's
He's made $1 billion off the platform. That is
the NBA's responsibility
to protect it.
But that's the NBA's responsibility. LeBron James is a player. And now, granted, this is a players' league, and it's great that the players have that power that they have to influence certain things. But if somebody's being sexually harassed on their job, in the NBA, it's the NBA's responsibility to say, hey, wait a minute, you can't do that, Robert Sarver. They're the ones that should have checked him.
Right. If the Rogers Goodells and the fucking Adam Silvers of the world aren't going to fucking change, then I'll step up as a player and be that change. Be the change you want to see in the world.
But I think you're missing the point of what just happened. That's why he's the first one that spoke out. That's why he's the one that's probably going to be. And by the way, he has called the league, according to Adam Silver, along with many other players, and they're all probably asking for the exact same thing. This dude needs to sell the team, and we don't know what's happening behind the scenes. So that's the same thing that happened with the Donald Sterling. Everybody was like, "This dude needs to sell the team," and guess what? Ultimately, that's what happened. I'm just saying, I don't think this is over by a long shot. What's the giggle? What's the giggle?
Who is the face of the league? I'm curious.
It's LeBron.
Okay. I personally wish he would have said something before. Whether he knows the story, whether it's right or wrong, whether he don't know all the details, he can say what he wants. We do it all the time before we know stuff. We come out and say our opinion about it before we know the details and stuff. I
don't work in the NBA.
Okay, I'm not talking about the
right.
I'm not talking about the NBA. I'm just saying in general, that's what we do. So he could do that. I mean, the whole NBA world is looking up to him. He could do that if he wanted to. I don't think anything would be wrong with it.
Listen, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm saying I don't have an issue with him not doing it.
I'm not saying it either. I'm just saying I wish he would. I'm not saying I got an issue with him not doing it. I'm just saying I wish he would have. I personally wish he would have.
Brandon said the right thing. You can't pick and choose, and you can't say this timing's right for me. You either believe or you don't.
Brandon said what fed into what you wanted him to say. So we're not gonna say he said the right thing. He just said what you wanted him to say, which is fine. I don't have an issue with him speaking about it late or early.
Brandon's opinion too, I guess.
Yeah. No, it's all good. Listen, the opinion is the opinion. It doesn't matter.
The point is to set the fucking opinion.
Why does it have to be?
Because you have the power. Don't take the power and the money if you're not going to fucking stand on the platform and advocate for what's important to you and advocate for what's right.
And while
you can't have it both ways.
And while I appreciate you hammering away at those curse words, that's great. It doesn't make you right in this situation. That the power doesn't shift just because he spoke on it after the fact. Matter of fact, it's gonna be the exact same power. There's no difference. The only difference is he didn't say it beforehand. But I promise you, they're having those conversations now.
No, but that's the point, Lloyd. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. When you know the consequence of your action before you make it, it stops you from fucking doing the wrong thing. And when the precedent is set, especially by the powers that be, that this is unacceptable, will not be tolerated. After Donald Silver, there should have been a revolution, and any fucking whisper of impropriety moving forward should have been handled by the league's leadership, including LeBron, at the highest and most public and vocal level. And that would have impetused what is happening 18 months from now when Sarver has to sell the team to be, this is exactly what's going to happen if he's convicted of what he's done. And it also would have given him an inkling into, if I continue to act this way, this is going to be my penalty. Right? It's the one thing the Dallas Cowboys
sounds good in theory. That sounds good in theory.
Is doing the same thing over and over.
That sounds good in theory. There's no legal precedence to back up anything that you're saying. None whatsoever. There's no precedence where you can go into a courtroom and a guy has to sell a team because he's a racist. None. So LeBron could have said something. Chris Paul could have said something. President Joe Biden could have said something. There's no legal precedence that allows you to sell a team or forces you to sell a team because you're a racist or because you're a misogynist. Now, if those things become criminal, and by the way, in the NBA, there's no legal precedence on any sports league that somebody has to sell a team because of that.
That's right.
It just doesn't exist. Now, is that right or wrong?
No,
I think it's wrong.
We're talking about societal pressure. It goes all the way back to
I understand what you're saying, but what I'm trying to say to you is that the reality is Adam Silver, from a legal perspective, is right. He can't legally do anything to this guy about selling his team. However, very similar or exactly like what happened with Donald Sterling, they're going to put so much pressure on this guy over the next few months that I promise you he will not rest a minute, and he's going to ultimately probably end up selling this team. That's what's going to happen. So we're going to get to the same place. You're just mad
You're
that
right.
he is scared
You're
at the
right.
beginning.
In a market economy, you're reactive and I'm proactive. And
No,
I guarantee you there's a bottom line difference to that.
I don't think that's true at all. But what I am saying is you can only react to what you have the means to react with. And to react without having up the facts and all the understanding of it, to me, is egregious. Don't react just to say you're reacting. React because you have proof that you react. That you
don't
react.
You're proactive on a platform, and then you hold everybody accountable to that.
Proactive standard. To what? All they had was a guy with a story.
No, that's before the story, Lloyd. Before the story. Before the story, you set a precedent before the story. That's called proactive.
Oh, you're saying put rules in place that you can't be a racist.
I'm saying set a stance. If you're LeBron after Donald Silver, there are things that are acceptable and unacceptable.
But I think they have said that. They've said that.
LeBron, there are things that are acceptable and unacceptable.
You don't think LeBron and a bunch of the players have said we're not going to tolerate racism in this league? We're not going to tolerate standing with. They've said that. Matter of fact, that was one of the rallying cries after the Donald Sterling thing. We don't want this to happen anymore. We need to make sure that it doesn't happen anymore. I've heard them all say that. Chris Paul, Carmelo Anthony, LeBron James, so many other guys. They've all said it.
If that's the case, then they're powerless.
We will have to agree to disagree on this for sure, because I don't think that's true at all.
100%.
Yeah, we'll just have to agree to disagree on that. I think we all want.
I personally wish he would have said something before.
And that's fine. That's fine. I don't have an issue with him waiting, but
I know that's your opinion.
Yeah, we're fine. Yeah, we're fine on that. Let's jump in. Let's jump into the first question. And that is this one: Dak Prescott. Originally, now when I sent this question out, or when Chad sent this question out, the question was, Dak's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks. Can the Cowboys survive? It was something to that effect. However, Jerry Jones, talking to whoever, maybe his priest or whatever, I don't know, seems to think that he won't have to sit out 6 to 8 weeks. He can come back in 4 weeks or less, and they're not going to put him on IR. So we had to kind of alter the question a little bit, because number one, is he putting Dak at tremendous risk by even talking like this or trying to put pressure on him or whatever? And two, does it even matter?
We them boys. Before we start this, I would like for Chad to sing his song.
I got to hear from the Cowboy fan too. I'm with you.
Can you sing your song that you were singing all last year until they got eliminated?
Oh, you said sing the song? The song? I don't have the song anymore.
Oh, of course you don't.
I don't have it. Well, because it was I had to clean my computer, and I got you. I don't want to get
there's a bunch of Cowboy trash on there. I understand. There's a lot.
But I would like to hear. I would for sure like to hear Chad's opinion on this. I think as the resident Cowboy fan, he should go first here for sure.
You know what? I'm sure glad that the mayor of Dallas is championing to bring another NFL team to the area, because the Dallas Cowboys, man, Jerry Jones is the face, but Stephen Jones is pulling the strings. Jerry got
you 3 Super Bowls. Be careful.
25 years ago, but
Stephen, some people ain't got 1 Super Bowl in 25 years.
Stephen Jones, he was running the team back then. Stephen Jones, it's in Stephen Jones' hands now. Jerry
I don't
is
care
the face.
what you do. You get me Deion Sanders. You get Deion
That's what
here.
he said.
Exactly. But it's not like that anymore because Steven is running the show. So
So you think this is Steven's fault?
yeah, it's Steven's fault. Jerry brings the money because he's the face. And
No.
yeah,
You have been Jerry-tized.
Yeah, I think Jerry is
Jerry. That's why you got Jerry Jones making these statements because he can do that because he's the face. He wants everybody talking about the Cowboys because it's just, oh my God, this is crazy.
Brandon, thank you for your comment because this is good. I've never played quarterback, so I don't know. But Brandon says, as a former quarterback, your thumb is essential to gripping the football.
Yeah, I broken my thumb. I broken my thumb. I broken my wrist. Like, you cannot come back 4 to 6 weeks. It's not gonna happen. So just line up the replacements and go to the start and then figure out who you're gonna get because it was ridiculous for him to say that. Unless you're gonna just force somebody to play and get injured again. I mean, it was ridiculous.
Well, reports are coming out that Cam Newton is not an option. In case you were thinking about that.
They need to explore all their options. All of them.
Well, what are their options? Do they have any options?
You got to trade.
Hey man, Robert Griffin in the booth somewhere.
Well, he just beat a Hawk the other day, so I guess that's something.
Somebody.
Jimmy G, Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah, I'm not mad at those. I'm not mad at the Teddy or the Jimmy G, but I mean, Mr. Mayor, please go ahead and bring another team to the area because this is getting crazy.
So you want to root for somebody else now, Chad?
You ready to move on? Wow, that's
no.
Wow, I don't understand. You went from gospel singing the last year to now you're ready to move on.
Man, I think I'm gonna be in my 80s before we win another Super Bowl. I don't know. I think it's gonna be like the Red Sox. It's gonna be 50 years before we get another.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah. We probably got about 8 of them since you've been born.
Maybe. Could be, man. I don't know. It's very upsetting, man.
Cam, Jesse, y'all got a comment on this one. This is a lot.
For me, listen, it's just the first game of the season. Don't panic, Cowboy Nation. Everything is good. Y'all got a great team. Y'all got a great owner. Y'all got a great coach.
I should appreciate that, Cam.
And I'm full of great crap right now.
I was thinking the same thing, but I was.
this at least.
Hey, you had your chance, Chad. Let me go.
I thought about something else.
When Dak went down, I said this is gonna be a hell of a season. I knew life was gonna be good. I knew things were turning into my favor.
You went in your prayer closet, didn't you?
I'm not talking to you, Chad. Cowboy Nation, please stand up. I love every bit of it. I don't have to hear your mouth for the rest of the year now. We're going to the Super Bowl. We're going to do this. We're the best team in the NFC East. Our quarterback better than yours. I just love it, man. I'm sorry.
It's a good move, Chad. Find a team that really wants to win championship.
Thank you, Kev. Thank you.
That's right. Make sense of all this for these Cowboy fans. They need you right now.
Go Cowboys.
Yes, are you there with it? Is he there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, go ahead, brother. Make some sense of all of this, please.
I mean, we've talked about the Cowboys relentlessly. It starts at the top of the organization and it trickles all the way down. Until that changes, we're going to have the same results every single year, regardless of how you want to look at it. I said this earlier. I'll say it again. Definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Cowboys draft one of the best classes of players every single year. And here we are. And they have a 3-time Super Bowl winning coach that they fire the year after his 3rd Super Bowl. I mean, there are countless examples of why the Cowboys are who they are. And until people recognize the source and the root of that problem and the fact that it starts at the top of that organization, there's always going to be the exact same situation that they're in. Now, it's unfortunate Dak got hurt. And hopefully they have a quarterback that can come in and play with the rest of the immense talent on that team, from running back to wide receiver to tight end to defense across the board. But
immense talent, what I heard you say?
They have one of the worst coaches in the NFL, Doesn't help the fact that they're trying to run the exact same system that they've been running for the last 10 years. And
he's right.
Say, man, take something off.
You said immense talent? Is that what you said? I appreciate that. Jesse, that was positive and very realistic. Oh my goodness. Take them off. Jeez. That would be.
Boy, I told you I was coming in hot tonight.
I see. Let me say this. First of all,
Lloyd, before we go here, before you give your Cowboy stuff, how does it feel to be tied for first in your division?
Well, I'll get to that later. We'll get to that later. I'm going to say this, though. One of my favorite stories, children's stories, was the emperor that wears no clothes, right? And my favorite part of the story is when the little kid, while everybody's cheering the king and he's walking out there naked and they're cheering his new clothes, his invisible clothes, the little kid looks at him and said, man, y'all crazy. That fool is naked and ain't nothing y'all can say that's going to convince me otherwise. He's naked. And then everybody was forced to deal with that reality. All the Dak injury did was force y'all to deal with the reality of your nakedness that we've all known since the preseason. I've been saying all summer long that the Cowboys weren't going. First of all, I'm not sure it matters whether Dak is out there or not. Prior to Dak getting hurt, they looked terrible. So I'm not sure it really matters. But if I'm Dak, ain't no way on God's green earth you're going to force me out there until I'm ready. I don't care what you say or how you feel or what you think or how many biblical scriptures you quote on the local radio station. I'm not coming out there until I feel like I'm ready. And if that means we're 0-6 or 0-8 or 0-10 or whatever it is, that's just how it's got to be. Dak got to look out for Dak. Dak got to look out for his career because Dak is not a bad quarterback, but he's put in an impossible situation right now.
What?
Listen. This ain't basketball where one guy can lift up the entire thing. He can't lift that team by himself.
Tom Brady can.
Tom Brady can.
No, he can't.
Okay.
We like to say that he can, but that's not true either.
That's your opinion. Okay.
Tom Brady can.
Okay.
Ron Nolan just said if Jerry Jones is making billions every year, right, telling fans you're going to win a championship, why would you change your style?
And by the way, that's what that radio interview was about.
You don't care about winning.
Why would he?
He's got 80,000 people every week.
He's got the number one franchise in the world.
That's fine. That's fine. So then let's make sure that we are just all on the same page. If you're a Cowboys fan, you're about Jerry Jones's back pocket and nothing else matters. Don't come to me as a Cowboys fan in March, in June, in August, in September, when you're 8-1 through 9 games in the first week of October, and tell me that your football team is great because your organization is going to fail you. Whether it's the strength and conditioning coaches, whether it's McCarthy's fucking calls in the fourth quarter, it does not matter. You are going to fail. And remember, at the end of the day, everybody wants to protect Dak. We're all about Dak. Dak needs to protect himself. Somebody paid Dak, right? So let's be very, very clear. It starts at the top. It trickles down through the organization. And if you're going to be a Cowboys fan, you are not a fan of championships. You are not a fan of winning. That is decades and decades ago. You were a fan of the show and the limelight and the fucking spectacle and the press and the 80,000 people every game, whatever it is. You are not a fan of football.
But see, I'm going to agree and slightly disagree with you. I agree with everything you said, except I slightly disagree with it. Here's why. The Cowboy fans are believers of that. That's how Jerry wins. He sold them on. We're right there. Guys, we're right there. We're one player away. We're a custodian away. We just got to get a better window washer, and we will win the title. And every year, Cowboys fans go, and I honestly feel like Jerry has a degree in hypnotism, because he clearly has them mesmerized into thinking, that's right, we're one player away. You're not. You're not. You're not.
This wins me so much money every year. I look forward to football season. I look forward to the Cowboys. Get rich off these boys, man.
All I'm saying is, if I'm Dak and I'm a decent football player, you're not. What you're not going to do is have me out here busting up my thumb long term to try to save a drowning franchise. What I'm going to do, I'm going to try to go and heal and get right. And if you don't like it, trade me.
See, that's my thing right there, Lord. I got a dear friend of mine, and I'm not going to mention him on the show, Ronnie C. Sanders. He is so passionate about the Cowboys, like nothing else in the world mean anything. And I'm like, bro, you get mad at me, like, because I'm going to tank the fans. I'm going to get at you, because I'm tired of hearing all the fans' mouth. You can call me the Steve Nash. I'm tired of hearing what they going to do, all this stuff. You hear that all year round, man. And then you got to get on that football field. You got to eat those words. You got to swallow that pride. And you got to take that L. I love it. Can we talk about the Cowboys all day?
You know what would change that? If the Cowboys were a publicly traded team and Ron C owned $20,000 in stock, and for every loss that they took and every year they missed the playoffs, that investment went down, there'd be a different tone in his voice. So, blind, unaccountable pride gets you absolutely nothing.
Boy, that's Caesar. That's the one with the clothing line. We got to get him on. I tried to get him on. We got to get him on.
I'll tell you what, it leads right into question number 2 if we want to go
there. It does. Let's jump on in. Lamar Jackson and the Ravens failed to get contract negotiations done, and allegedly, reportedly by Adam Schefter, he rejected a 5-year, $250 million contract. That sounds good. But $133 million guaranteed. Did he make the right choice?
All right. Can I go? Because I'm going to be very, very brief. I'm going to be very brief.
Yeah.
In my career, I've always bet on myself. My wife has never agreed with me. Many of my coworkers never agreed with the moves that I've made. I've always bet on myself. I don't care what precedent is, tradition is, what people normally do.
I agree with you.
I know me, and I'm going to do me, and it's going to rise to the top, and this is where I'm going to be. Okay? I don't think Lamar Jackson is as talented as I am, first of all. But that being said,
Okay.
I've also never been offered $133 million of guaranteed anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so regardless of how freaking talented I am, there is a number with which common sense kicks in and says, oh, generational wealth over a turf or, whatever type of random, unpredictable injury that could possibly happen in the game of football. God help him. I hope he's right. I think it's the dumbest thing some 25-year-old could ever do to pass up. If you told any 6-year-old or any 6-year-old parents today, in 19 years, your son's going to be offered $130 million guaranteed to take him through to year 29, maybe year 30.
Right.
Would you take it? What changes between the time that you're 6 or that you're a parent of that child until you get to that point in time where you say, I'll go play football and see how my LCL and the ACL and the concussions and the turf and my thumb and everything else holds up and pass on $133 million. I mean, you can look at Deshaun Watson and other players that still get their money regardless, but my God, I mean, the set of balls on somebody to say that they are so impervious to anything that could possibly happen. They're so impervious to God God's will, the chance of law and life to say, I'm going to pass on $130 million, as far as I'm concerned, you can go fuck yourself.
Wow.
Jesse, you done use the F, you done use the F word about 32 times today.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'll stop talking.
Take a whole lot
I
off.
apologize.
Yeah, take a whole
But
lot.
I texted Lloyd 35 minutes ago, or 35
Yeah,
minutes before the show. I told him I was coming in hot. And
come hot, man. I'm just letting you know what you did.
That's beyond hot. That's something else.
You steaming. You steaming.
Yeah, that's something else. That's a lot.
I feel like they're emphatically and well placed, but we can agree to disagree.
I'm gonna disagree with you just.
And I didn't say the N word, so.
No, you didn't say the N word, so that's good. That's good. That's good. I'm proud of you. I'll say this. I'm like you, Jesse. I've always bet on myself, and I've also spent my life. Also, there have been times when I've also said I'll take one for the team.
Yeah.
And
at at 133 million.
Well, hold on. Let me finish.
Oh.
And then I remember something that the great Kevin Garnett said. The great Kevin Garnett said, I should have left Minnesota a long time ago because the one thing I can't get back is the opportunities. I could have given myself way more opportunities and time if I'd have just left a long time ago. There is a moment here in time for Lamar, and if he's right, it could be great for him. Now it's a risk. It is absolutely a risk. Yeah, it's absolutely a risk. But at the same time, I look around the room and I'm looking at guys, and to quote the great Kanye West, this dude can't be better than me. Kyler Murray got $189 million, and he's done less than half of what I've done.
Don't matter.
Deshaun Watson, it matters. It matters. Because I'm not going to sit in the room. I'm not going to sit in the room. I'm not going to sit in the room. Listen, I'm not going to sit in the room with a bunch of people that have worked done less than me and getting paid more than me.
Okay.
And I get that. I understand that. So I understand what he's doing. Is it a risk? Now, what I'm more shocked about is that the Ravens didn't even start at one, if the number is right. Now, this is Adam Schefter's reporting, and Adam Schefter's gotten it wrong before.
Not many times.
Not much, but he has. I'm just giving some context. If the number is right, I'm shocked that the Ravens didn't at least get to 189, 190. I'm very shocked by that. And I'm wondering, are they saying, because that seems very clear what the message is, if you're $60 million or $50 million less than a guy who's done half a job. So it's going to be interesting to see where this goes ultimately. But I don't have a problem with him betting on himself as long as he understands you are taking a massive risk, sir, and you better be right. So
yeah, it's definitely a risk. I mean, you can take the 133 and then get the rest, later. But I mean, it's just up in the air. It's up in the air.
But we're all assuming there's going to be a later. There's no guarantee for a later.
But you have the 133 right now that you can.
I agree. I agree with that. Or you can get all you're supposed to get right now, and
it also, he doesn't have an agent, right? So that also plays into the part of trying to broker the best deal. So I think maybe he needs to get some I mean, I don't know, getting representation to be able to fight for it a little bit. I mean, I think that maybe matters a little bit to get to that 190, because him just going in there and demanding his amount. I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure what the strategy of him representing himself is. So.
You don't have to pay nobody else more than they deserve to get.
Hey, Cam.
It's numbers.
Before you go, can I set the table for you?
Yeah, sure.
Your father texted me about 3 minutes ago. I think he's watching the podcast, and the only thing he said is Ecclesiastes chapter 6, verse 9 and 10. And the apostle, I think by that, my Google search meant that a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. Mere dreaming of nice things is foolish. It's chasing the wind. All things are decided by fate. It was known long ago what each man would be, so there's no use in arguing with God about your destiny. So if Lamar Jackson thinks that he can tempt fate, i.e. God, and run his course, good for him. I'm not
Why do
sure
you think
how
this is tempting fate, though? Why are we at
Bird
that
in the
point?
hand is. I'm just quoting the Bible, Lloyd. I'm not.
I appreciate your quoting of the
Given
Bible.
the fact that I can decipher it. However, a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. Somebody offered him $133 million guaranteed today in his bank account. No matter what happens, here's a generational wealth. And he said, "Nah, that bush has two birds in it. Maybe I'll wait and try to see what happens there."
I give you my opinion on it. I sum this whole thing up.
I don't think bird in the hand.
So who is he comparing himself to? Like, Lord, you brought up Kyler Murray. And this is my thing in the NBA. And for people that's taking pay cuts and in the NFL, we know people not getting paid what they're worth. And we have some of those people that try to get it all. I mean, what Aaron Rodgers just did, I think Aaron Rodgers knows the end of the road for him. So he's going to get everything that he felt like was owed to him in the $50 million that he got.
Right.
The Cleveland Browns got to be the dumbest organization around to do what they did, in my opinion. But here's the thing. Kyler should get that kind of money because it's the Arizona Cardinals. They're not going to break the door down with no free agent that's going to take them to win the Super Bowl. So the thing I feel like the Arizona's doing, some of the things they doing, they just trying to keep fans in the stands, get to the playoffs, and see what can happen. In Lamar Jackson situation, I felt like that was plenty of money to the point where they could still get other help, other people. They can spread it a little bit and still he can have a chance to win. In Arizona, ain't nobody looking for Arizona to go to the Super Bowl. There's a lot of people that are thinking that if somebody with Lamar Jackson credibility to get to a Super Bowl, Tom Brady or whoever else you want to talk about, we've seen people. I mean, Tom Brady for me should be the highest paid quarterback in the world, but he's not. But the Patriots made sure that he had that offensive line. So I'm just saying, for me, I can understand why other people are getting more money. I can see where he said, I'm better than them. I understand that. But you're trying to get somewhere different than what they're trying to get to, just in my opinion, So I get it. I get it, It is what it is. I think Lamar should have took the money. At the end of the day, in sports and all that stuff, you get paid under the table anyway. Listen, Lamar, get your money. Go win a Super Bowl. They're going to take care of you. Simple as that. They're going to take. Matter of fact, look at Kansas City right now. Well, he was on a rookie contract. They had all the players and pieces around him. He got this huge contract. They couldn't afford other people like Tyreek Hill and other people, the offensive line, more importantly. And we may not see Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl for a while. They look good when the games, but at the end of the day, you can blitz them and they hurt. So just saying, man, I think Lamar to sit back and see what he can do to get some more help to that team, in my opinion.
It could be another Dak situation. I mean, Lord forbid, God forbid, he gets hurt, and then the team has to figure out if they're gonna pay him or not. So, I don't know. 133 is enough to feed a lot of people. So, I mean, you could definitely.
The last time we saw this was Joe Flacco. Flacco.
It worked out though,
huh?
It worked out.
It did work out for Flacco. I totally agree.
Yeah.
I told you that's what I'm saying. Last time we saw was Flacco, same organization.
Ron said Lamar should lead the Ravens, go to Arizona, more money to be on a losing team and get less on a winning team. What?
Right, what's he looking for? The Jets to throw up $200 million guaranteed, and that's where he's going to go spend his career? Like, I'm just saying that there's a point where we all have to be realistic. It doesn't matter what you're worth. Lamar's got the unanimous MVP. Lamar's set a precedent much higher than Kyler Murray ever has, Deshaun Watson has. That's not the point. Where does common sense and greed separate?
But we don't know what first of all, we don't know what he wants. All we know is what he's been offered.
It's more than
So
Doesn't matter.
he may have
It's more
said
than what he's been offered.
it's more than
well,
130.
it is more than what he's been offered, but maybe what he's being offered is more is or what he wants is more reasonable than we think it is. Maybe it ain't 250.
Can we play devil's advocate, Lord? Is he a top 5 quarterback in the league?
Is he a top 5?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm asking, like, seriously, is he a top 5 quarterback in the league? He's not better than Tom. He's not better than Aaron Rodgers. He's not better than Josh Allen. He may be a top 5 quarterback. Like, is he a top 5? That's what I'm saying. Can y'all name me 5 people that's better than Lamar Jackson?
I would say he's probably in that 5 to 7 range. I'd say he's in that 5 to 7 range because the 3 you named, without question, are better. And then
Mahomes.
Mahomes would be the 4th. So now you got
But Lamar struggled early, right? Being able to complete passes and things like that, and then turning on like it was going out of style.
No, he's better.
But then let's talk about the Ravens for half a second. What did they do in the offseason?
What do you mean?
They traded his number 1 wide receiver.
Yeah.
Because his number 1 passer is a tight end. That's why.
Yeah,
they can afford to.
Let's talk about that. Are you going to invest Deshaun Watson, guaranteed? No, you go out and sign Amari Cooper.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Right, and bring him in, and then go out for Deshaun Watson some money.
I just knew they was getting Debo Sanders in there. It all made sense.
We all thought that on draft day.
Right,
Debo's going to Baltimore, right?
We thought it was a no-brainer. But I guess the thing that I'm looking at with Lamar, again, it is a risk. I'm not saying I would want what I feel like I deserve. Now,
to what degree, Lloyd? To what degree?
Let me finish. Is it 200 million? I don't know. I because I'm 25. That's the other part that I think we get blindsided by when we're young. We think we got to break the bank right now. Well, I'm 25. At 25, I'm probably going to get if I stay healthy and the sun stays bright and the creek don't rise as the country folks say. I guess I've been in Arkansas too long. Then I'm probably going to get at least 3 of these contracts, probably. Right? So do I break the bank now and break the organization now? That's the X factor. I understand what people are trying to say, man. I wouldn't do it less than what Deshaun Watson get. I've had some time to think about it. I don't know if I would break the bank, but I wouldn't want to be undervalued, feel like I'm being undervalued. And I don't know what the undervalued number is. But if he thinks 133 is undervalued, then okay. Now, to me, he's probably safely in the 150 to 175 range. And if you want to just be a blessing to him and say 200, okay. But I will agree with everyone in saying that what does it matter if you don't get freaking receivers, real receivers. Now, they had a good day for the first game, and if that's who they are now and we all underestimate them, then maybe this is a moot point. But at the same time, I just wonder where we are with it.
I'm thinking the Ravens, do they think that he's the long-term answer?
Well, whether they think that he is or not, they've already hitched their wagon to him.
Lamar Jackson.
It doesn't matter.
Lamar?
Yeah, it doesn't matter because they've already hitched their wagon to him. So yeah,
it's a 5-year contract.
Right.
It doesn't matter.
No. Well, he hasn't signed that yet. But
that's what I'm saying.
What I'm saying is, they've already built their entire. Here's the reality. They've already given him a 5-year contract, whether they gave it to him or not, because they've built the entire team around his skill set. Because without his skill set, what are they?
Yeah, I'm just saying if ultimately he doesn't, they can't agree on a number and he doesn't sign the contract, then I mean,
well then they've agreed to pay him $50 million. Right? They've agreed to pay him $50 million for 1 year because that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So and they haven't built an entire team around him. They traded his number 1 wide receiver from last year.
No, they have because everything that he does is what they have. They've got 3-4 tight ends. They've got 4 or 5 running backs. That's what they're a running team, and that's okay. If that's your philosophy, it's okay. It doesn't matter. That's not the point. The point is they've already locked themselves into Lamar, so it doesn't really matter. They got to figure it out.
And they also thought, and I can see they from last year to this year, there's no sense of bringing a bunch of free agents. They brought back about 6 starters that was all hurt last year.
Right.
Like, that was huge just for what they have.
Yeah,
at the same time, Hollywood Brown is not what Lamar Jackson is. Debo Sanders is what Lamar Jackson is.
Right.
I feel like they should have did that. The guy that went to the Eagles, what's his name? Brown.
AJ Brown.
That's what Lamar needs. Is somebody like that.
You know what else they probably should have went after when he was available. He wasn't available last year, but
who?
I was gonna say Cordarrelle.
Robinson.
That's kind of perfect.
Yeah,
that's a low budget Debo. You know what I'm saying? But it's basically the same type of player. Yeah. So
that team is set to run the football and win on defense.
And that's what they want to do.
No, that's it right there. What does Baltimore have? They have an identity. They've always had it. Their head coach sets it. Their owner agrees with it, and they're going to run with it, right? Yeah. And so whether that's Lamar or anybody else, defense and running the ball doesn't start with the quarterback. So to the Ravens, Lamar is going to always be worth X, right? Same thing with the Patriots. Tom Brady was always worth X, right? And we'll pay you this and we can win championships. And Brady's got 7 rings to prove it, right? So if Lamar doesn't want the 133, I think at the end of the day, the Ravens aren't going to match a Deshaun Watson or the next Kirk Cousins or whatever the next crazy contract is. They're always going to be below that market value because they're going to invest more heavily in their identity. And Lamar's going to have to want to get on the train and try to win a ship with them or not.
And by the way, I don't know if the Ravens are wrong because it's the same thing. It's the same thing that happened in the NBA with the Utah Jazz. I'm not matching that ridiculous Rudy Gobert thing. I'm not doing that. So I'm not. So yeah, you tried to reset the market, Utah, but that don't mean I got to play your game. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I applaud the entire NBA for not playing that game with KD. I really do, because while I get it, he is a phenomenal talent, but I'm not going to mortgage my entire team and franchise and future for this one moment in time. Now, but I do think there is a realistic, I think there's an honorable number that you can get to that makes sense. Well, we know Cam will, but I agree with you. All right, that was good. I don't know. I'm torn on that one. We'll have to come back to that. Let's start with the white market smart. Who's your best? Who's your worst? I'm so glad we're bringing this back. I love this segment.
He can answer the best for everybody on the panel.
Who's your best in the AFC? Who's your best? Who's your worst? Who's your surprise? That may be true, by the way. We'll see how he answers that.
The best, for sure.
The best was easy. If I had any doubt about who I thought my Super Bowl contender was going to be, at least in the AFC, it got eliminated in week 1. They went in against the defending Super Bowl champions, and 31-10 is quite the domination.
Yep.
And so I'm going to say the best AFC performance was from the Buffalo Bills. They came to play, did absolutely everything right. The fact that Cam Akers had absolutely 0 net yards in the game boggles my mind. The forcing to Cooper Kupp, the potential long-term injury status of Stafford. I mean, Allen Robinson being the second coming, Robert Woods squared is how I probably would have positioned him going into week 1, being almost non-existent. And that Bills defense, I'm sold. McDermott and everything they're doing up in Buffalo, and I think that the best performance of the week came from the Buffalo Bills.
What about your worst?
God, I want to say the Bengals all day long because all you need is a kicker. And by the way, you had one of the top 3 kickers in the NFL who had 5 game-winning field goals last year, including the playoffs. But can I say them? I probably can't say them. I probably have to go with the Titans losing to the Giants.
Okay.
Probably my worst performance of the week because that shouldn't have happened either. But at the same point in time, you got to give a little. Hold on, slow down, Lloyd. Stand on one foot. Put your drink down. Take a little off. Whatever it is. Before I say this, just I don't need you getting way super excited. Giants performed really well in that game. Wouldn't have won that game last year because of coaching. Won that game this year.
Would have been in that game last year because
a really good team put them in a position to win, and they ended up capitalizing on it. That's the difference, right? So I've got to say probably the Titans were my worst game of the week. And I'm letting Cam off easy. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
I'm letting Cam off easy because Colts should be better than the Titans, and Houston should be worse than the Giants. And so the Colts tying that game is an absolute fucking, catastrophe. But half a win is a win, and the Titans didn't get that. Or a tie is half a win, and the Titans didn't get that. So Titans get the worst in the league.
And
or
worse than the Patriots defense.
All right. Mr. Major, what are you doing? What's your best? What's your worst? What's your surprise?
My best was same thing with Jesse. You're going with the Bills on that one. My worst, I had the Titans on that one, and my surprise, it was a tie between the Texans and the Colts game. The Colts, like just said, they should have won that game because it's the Texans. So I mean, it's the first week, stall them out, but I expect more from Cam's team.
It was a surprise or your worst. I think those are tough to kind of discern between, right? I didn't give my surprise. My surprise would have been the Broncos.
You didn't get your surprise. I thought you said you were surprised.
No, I didn't say my surprise.
I'm so sorry.
Now, I'm going to be fully honest. I bet the Seahawks first half and the points, and I bet the Seahawks full game and the points. But I did not expect Denver to be that productive and score that few points because they were extremely productive.
They should have won by 3 touchdowns.
Yeah. And they didn't. And I think that at the end of the day, everybody's focusing on the, 64-yard field goal attempt in the 4th and 4 or whatever it was, Hackett's call and his comments on Tuesday and stuff like that. But that didn't decide the game, right? No. Let's be honest. And so I think Hackett needs to find his feet a little bit. Wilson needs to find his feet a little bit. I think it was unfortunate he was playing Seattle in his first game. That being said, my biggest surprise is the Broncos. I expected more from them from that and a whole lot less from Seattle as a team.
Okay. Killer Cam.
Definitely Buffalo. Best performance. The worst performance for me was the Jets. The Jets just gonna stink the place up all year. I think they got the quarterback situation wrong with the draft last year. And they're going to pay for it. It's going to wind up costing this guy his job in the next year or two. It is what it is. It's typical Jet stuff, though. And Lord, I know you don't really care nothing about it. You like, yeah, right across the sea there. Yeah. That's typical Jet stuff.
No, you always care about your little brother. You don't want to see your little brother.
By the way, the Seattle game, horrible clock management.
That last play was ridiculous.
Anyway, and then
you'll figure it out.
My surprise team, who's your surprise team, Jesse?
Denver.
Tennessee? Oh, no, Tennessee was your worst team.
Yeah.
Did you say the same thing, Chad?
I did.
Let me tell you guys why Tennessee was not my worst team.
Because your Colts suck.
Yeah. Hey, Patriots look good now. I must say they look good. Because somebody picked the Giants to win that division, so I wasn't surprised by it at all. I'm just gonna throw that out there. I think once that receiving core get to clicking, and if that offensive line holds up, they just as good as anybody else in the NFC. Is what I'm saying.
5-12.
I didn't say the NFL. I said the NFC.
5-12.
Yeah, you
That
like
might
that.
win you the NFC.
Yeah,
So,
NFC.
okay.
Right.
So, and my surprise team was the team that I've been yakking about ever since free agency. Is the Miami Dolphins, man. I'm telling you, that is tough to defend. We can talk about Tua arm all day. But when you got Tariq Hill out there streaking, and you got Waddle out there streaking, and you got what's his name, Gesicki tight end, that's tough. Call it what you want. So it is what it is. So that's my surprise.
All right. Well, I went a little different because I knew everybody was going to go Bills, and rightfully so. They put on a pretty wonderful performance on Thursday. I just went with the Chiefs' offense. I'm not saying both sides of the ball was great. But man, that offense is they're not
surprise.
That was my best. I thought their offense was pretty amazing to watch.
That was a surprise to me.
That was just a surprise. Okay, for me it was the best because I didn't expect. I thought it would be good. I didn't know it would be that good, and maybe it was the opponent. We'll find out. It's a week to week thing, but. That was impressive. I mean, the way he spread that ball around and the way they responded to the spreading of that ball around, that was pretty amazing. My worst team actually was the Patriots, and not for the reasons you might think. I'm trying to figure out who's gonna make plays for them. And
who's gonna call the plays?
Who's gonna call the plays? And we were all trying to give Bill the benefit of the doubt. Oh, he's a 7-time champ, or a 6-time champ. He'll figure it out. It's come on. They ain't figured it out. They ain't not figuring it out. And this is a problem. And I want to say the Dolphins were amazing and they dominated and they did, but I don't know if that's because the Patriots really were that bad at that, because they look discombobulated on both sides of the ball. So I'm saying, is this the Dolphins? Are they that good, or are the Patriots that disoriented right now? So I'm saying they were my worst because they just didn't look like they knew what they were doing. Mm-hmm. So that's why I picked them as the worst. And then my surprise actually was the Texans because I didn't think they'd be that competitive. I'll be honest with you. I'm impressed by Lovie Smith. That was they were competitive. They looked like they wanted to win that football game for a half. Now, the second half, they looked like trash. But
Lovie Smith lost that game.
Well, yeah. But Lovie Smith also almost won that game. So which one are you going to choose? Because they were up 20-3
in the fourth quarter.
Right. So let's, come on now. You can criticize the choices down, or you could criticize the performance down the stretch. So I don't know.
No, I blame the Colts for that being 20-3 in the fourth quarter, and I blame Houston for losing that game or for tying that game.
So what do you blame the Patriots for?
I'm not sure how you blame them, but
I hate the Patriots. I told you guys 2 weeks ago.
Don't do that.
The Patriots weren't even a 500 team.
Don't do that, Jesse.
Yeah.
No, I said the Patriots weren't even a 500 team. They have no idea what's going on.
And you also told me about Tua's arm too.
Yeah, I don't think Tua could throw the ball.
Well, he looked damn good against the Patriots.
On Sunday, in the third quarter, he threw that one pass, right, in that small window right between the linebacker and the safety, and I texted you that moment, that day, and said, ooh, I might have been wrong about Tua. I never said shit about the Patriots.
Let's
Patriots are crap, man. They're crap.
There you have it.
Brady's proven every single game why he's the reason, more of the reason they won chips than Belichick.
Oh, for sure. Well, we may be headed toward that complete and final decision. Let me start the NFC off, guys. For me, it was the Vikings, and more so. Again, it was their offense. Their offense was just man. I don't know if there is a cover for Justin Jefferson. I mean,
but why? No, why is the Vikings offense what it is?
I guess the change in coordinator was or coach was the real deal. I mean, I guess it appeared it's one game.
Lloyd, you can be right both times.
It's one game, so I'm not going to overreact.
But the offensive coordinator for the Los Angeles Rams, highest scoring offense in the league last year, is now their head coach.
Their
offensive coordinator is the passing game coordinator from the Rams last year, right? It's both their coordinator and their head coach.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm saying that could be the reason. It looks significant. Listen, the guy. I think he was shocked he was so wide open. Like, there were times he was so wide open, he looked around like there's nobody here? Like, nobody. Yeah. So we'll see. Again, it could be that the Packers aren't that good. We'll find out. This is gonna be revealed relatively quickly. But we'll see. But they looked amazing.
The Packers always lose week 1, by the way.
Let me just that seems to be the trend.
They always
that seems to be the trend. I don't want to pile on, but obviously the worst team was the Cowboys. It's not even close. It's but I think we've already addressed that. My surprising team.
Can you elaborate on it? No, I will.
I'll let you elaborate because you're next. So I'm gonna let you. I'll let you. Surprise team for me. I was surprised that the Bucks looked the way they looked, and if you're a Bucks fan, you gotta be somewhat concerned because the defense looks okay, but that offense, I don't know. And by the way, the reports that are coming out today, no Godwin, Julio Jones is hurt. Godwin is out with a hamstring. And somebody else, one of the other receivers is out with a hamstring as well.
Yeah, but they already got a receiver in camp right now. I mean, they reported today.
Gage.
Yeah, but he hadn't played. He hadn't been there, so he's got to get up to speed.
Antonio Brown.
Oh, stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! So I don't know. I'm surprised that. And by the way, the offensive line is as suspect as you thought it would be.
That's the only thing I can say about Tampa Bay is their offensive line was weak because Jensen's out. Then they lost their tackle on or whatever they lost another offensive lineman during the game. So that's the most dangerous thing because Brady's not mobile, right? You got to protect him. You got to have good running backs and fullbacks that understand passing schemes and passing blocking coverages and stuff like that. But I don't know. If anything, Tampa Bay to me was surprising because they didn't win by more.
Well,
they underperformed to the level of their potential, and
that was my point because normally a Tom Brady team playing a team that was playing that bad in the Cowboys, he'd put up 30.
No.
And the fact that he didn't.
The line was 2.5, so let's just take 16 and call it a 8x win versus Vegas. And anytime Brady beats Vegas by 8 times, that's probably considered a pretty good win.
Well, that wasn't a bad win. It's just
it beat Vegas' expectations by 8 times.
I was surprised. So that's me. Cam, what you got?
Best team, NFC.
And by the way, no way in hell my Giants are going 5-12 now. You're out of your mind. And you need to quit smoking that shit. Okay, go ahead.
For the week, the best team I got for the NFC, I'm going to say the Giants. And I will tell you why I would say the Giants. For one, Washington played Jacksonville, and Washington looked pretty good, but they played the Jacksonville team that won maybe 3-4 games last year.
They almost lost that game.
Philadelphia
You're being
looked
generous.
Philadelphia looked good. Philadelphia looked good, but they played a Detroit team who probably won. How many games they win last year? Okay, I can only base it off what they came in. It was a toss-up with Minnesota, but you're talking about a Green Bay team that has no receiver, and I can't name 3 people on defense. Okay, so I went with the Giants because they played the Tennessee Titans, who you know what they're going to do. They're going to try to run the ball down your throat. They got Tannehill. We argued about Tannehill last week, but guess what? Tannehill has backed up his stats with the way he plays. So I thought the Giants in week 1 was, and they were behind, the way they were behind, and they came back. So for week 1, that's what mine was the Giants. My surprise team was the way that the Rams came out and was so flat.
Wow.
The Rams got, hey, listen, and don't tell me it's a Super Bowl hangover. The Rams got some issues that they better address really quick. And you know you're Super Bowl champion, so everybody coming after your neck. Like, they coming for you. So that was my surprise team. And then my
Cam, is that elbow worse than he's letting on? Is he lying?
So
because there was a lot of tip balls.
Man, me and Jesse been talking about this. I personally think so.
There were a lot of tip balls, and at some point, that's the mechanics of movement. It something that doesn't feel like it's quite right, but that's just me.
Yeah, and then of course the worst team, of course. Yeah. Chad, you staring at me?
I'm waiting for you to answer.
The worst, for me, the worst team, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because it starts with the quarterback play. Okay. When you got an overrated quarterback, when people really
I'm in the car. I'm in the car.
Overrated? Did you say overrated?
I'm in the car.
Wow.
And I said overrated.
I'll buy the car. I'll buy the car.
When your skill set don't match what you got and nobody even know what you are, you better put Jimmy G in the game. I'm telling you right now. The San Francisco 49ers are going to get toasted, and then you're going to try to have Jimmy bail you out in game 4 or 5. You better put the guy that wins football games back in the game. You better put the guy that in the NFC, close to championship game, when he had your team up 10 points in the 4th quarter, you better put him back in the game. Hey, listen to me. You better put him back in the game.
We got to go back 3-4 weeks and look at some people's NFC picks for what the 49ers were going to do. Yeah. They're not going to make the playoffs. And they're not going to make the playoffs. They're not good enough. And what Jimmy G did in that system made him maybe better than what he is as a skills quarterback, but he won with what he was given, and they don't have that right now.
I'm not going to overreact after a monsoon game. I feel like
they play. Hold on. Y'all talked about Chicago. Y'all talked about Houston. What's the difference in Houston and Chicago then?
Nothing. Chicago's worse. They could have played anybody in that game, and they lost to Chicago.
Yeah, I'm not going to overreact in a monsoon. I'm not. It just doesn't feel right. Let them play the dry. Let them play the dry.
You know why you're not? Because you have chosen Trey Lance too. That's why you're not.
No, I'm saying I think this is a guy who hadn't played a lot of football that was playing in uncircumcised circumstances. And he looked like he was scared. He looked like he was nervous to fall or to twist an ankle or whatever. He looked uncertain. And I think the circumstances of the game had a lot to do with it. So I'm going to pause. Listen, I'm not saying he wasn't bad. He was horrible. Yeah. But if he brings that horrible to this week where there's dry circumstances and he still looks like that, then it's time to panic.
Can I ask a question? Can I ask about my team?
I'm not saying you're right. I'm calling them out.
I hope you ask him why he said his first round pick in the first week of our fantasy league. Because his opinion kind of went straight down after that one.
The matchups made me do it.
Stop it.
The matchup did make me do it. Listen, nobody thought the Rams. Stop it. You stop it. Nobody thought the Rams were going to be that bad. Come on now. Nobody thought the Rams were going to be that bad.
True.
Stop it. Lamar playing the Jets. Come on, that's a no-brainer.
Right.
And Lamar ultimately made me look like I wasn't all the way crazy.
The question I have, Lord, is why is whatever happened with San Francisco? San Francisco was one of the top 4 teams in the NFC last year.
Right.
Are we saying
That's
that's on Jimmy? Are we saying it's on Jimmy Garoppolo?
No, listen.
Let me stop you right there. The fact that you didn't say yes, how do you not put him in the game? How do you not play him?
I don't listen. I don't know why.
No. I want your opinion on it now. I'm
giving you my opinion. I don't know why San Francisco is doing this. I don't know.
Do you agree with it?
I like Trey Lance.
I didn't ask you did you like Trey Lance. I asked you did you agree with it?
I don't know.
Well, they made a decision.
One of the ones in week 10 when we're talking about this, and they got 3 wins. You're gonna be one of the ones on the hot seat too.
Well, they made a decision with Trey Lance, so they got to stick with it at least for the week 1.
I mean,
really? Okay, so let me ask you this, Chad: did Green Bay pick up Jordan Love in the first round?
They sure did.
Are they making a decision with that right now?
They have decided.
Okay,
they decided he's gonna sit the bench.
So you telling me the same thing about Garoppolo? Come on, man. Y'all got to stop this.
I didn't say it was the right decision. I didn't say it was the right decision.
Hey, Lord, let me ask you one more question about it then. I'm picking at you. You're the journalist. I'm picking at you.
Go ahead.
So let me ask you this.
Go ahead.
If Tart got the interception that hit him in the hands when nobody was around, are we having this conversation now?
No.
So why is Jimmy the leader of I did?
No, listen.
All he do is win games. I don't get it.
I don't want to overreact off of a game with those type of conditions.
Let me ask you one.
Only for a guy who has not played as many games as he needed to play to prepare for something like that.
Why don't you want to? They overreacted last year with him not being in the playoffs. Okay, well, let me ask you one final question. Is Jimmy Garoppolo better than Brad Johnson?
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Is he better than Joe Flacco?
Yes.
Is he better than Trent Dilfer?
Yes.
Why in the hell are you sitting Jimmy Garoppolo then? Is this a recipe for winning? Is this a recipe for success? Hey, Chad, you want Jimmy G in Dallas right now?
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
Listen again. I'm stalling him out just for a week. If the kid comes out in bright sunshine weather and looks exactly the same. No. Listen. I'm not saying you're wrong, because if the kid comes out in sunshine weather this week and looks exactly the same, I think you hit the red button immediately, because this is bad. This is bad because he looked shook, and that's the part that scares me. But I don't know if it was shook because of the weather, because he was moving funny. He wasn't taking risk. He was holding the ball too long. It was a lot of bad stuff, and I'm saying, okay. First game, maybe he felt the pressure a little bit. Maybe the weather, the ball slippery. Now, the irony is, real quick, the irony is, Jesse, the guy that they drafted, the Chicago drafted after him, didn't really have those problems. So I'm just saying, 49ers had a chance to take that guy, and they didn't. They went with this guy, and that guy, under the same exact conditions, was shook, and the other guy they didn't take.
No. The big difference is that Fields have a whole year of playing football, though. I get it. But Fields had Andy Dalton behind him. It's no excuse.
They had no choice.
Hey, and where did Jimmy Garoppolo come from? Who was he sitting behind for years?
He was behind Tom Brady. Yeah. I don't know. Listen, we'll see. This week is going to tell us a lot. Jesse, it's your turn. Go ahead, brother. Best, worst, surprise, give to it.
Yeah, Fields is trash too. So I don't think it
Fields
matters.
Is not trash.
Fields is trash too.
No, he's not.
But I will say, okay. Well,
yeah, he's not trash.
No way you saying that.
Fields is trash too. So
yeah, not at all. But
again,
no matter how many times you
say the Patriots wanted Fields before they got who they got. He was just gone.
Fields is going to be just fine.
In what world do you think I agree with what the Patriots do? They traded Jimmy Garoppolo.
The world where you celebrated all 6 championships. That world.
I celebrated a man called Tom Brady. That doesn't sound anything like the New England Patriots.
Wow. Are you hearing that, Chad?
How these narratives get rewritten.
No, there's no rewritten from day one. Go back and look at any tape. I'm a Tom Brady fan, not a New England Patriots one.
Okay.
And I'd still be a Cowboys fan if they hadn't have fired Jimmy Johnson.
Your best, worst, and surprise.
Common sense loses me, right? Lack of common sense.
Oh my God.
I would love to give credence to quite a few teams. I love what Tampa Bay did. I think they did exactly what they're supposed to do. However, I don't think the competition was up to par. Saints are trash. I think what Seattle did was surprising. That said, my surprise is Washington. What they brought to the table, what Jahan Dotson did, he had the best rookie performance, I think, from all the wide receivers drafted in the first and second and third rounds.
We talked about that last week, didn't we?
I love that Carson Wentz went in there and put up 300 yards and I felt controlled that game. I think Ron Rivera, we all know his track record, right? And I think he actually has some studs this year with McLaurin and Dotson and Gibson. You know, if they've got health there, Washington could be a little dangerous. That said, I'm going to stay with the NFC East. I think the best performance this week was from the Philadelphia Eagles. I have a lot of respect, and I get you got to take all your historical bias out. I got a lot of respect for the Detroit Lions as a team on paper this year. And you got to remember, Detroit came back from multiple 17, 21-point deficits in that game. Philadelphia controlled that game from the beginning to the end, right? And Detroit got a score at the end that made it respectable. I didn't believe it. I've got a guy in my fantasy football league that was all in on Philly from the jump, 3 weeks ago. And I was like, you've lost your mind. Philly, I think, is for real. I think people need to take notice, pay attention. That was my best team of the week in the NFC. What they were able to do on both sides of the ball was impressive, and Devontae Smith didn't sniff the field. So I think Philly is scary, and people should pay attention to that. That's why they were my best team of the week. Now, I say all that. I know they played Detroit. Detroit's been predicted by Vegas to be the loser 24 straight games. In fact, week 2, this week coming up, is the first week Detroit's been favored in a game in 25 consecutive NFL games. So don't bet them. That being said, I love what the Eagles did. And my worst game of the week, I'm tempted to stay in the NFC East, but I won't. I'm severely disappointed. And I know the Rams should be on this list, but they're playing the Bills, so I'll give them a little bit of slack. Severely disappointed in the Green Bay Packers. If we're all going to run on the mantra that one player does not a team make in the NFL, and that, then Aaron Rodgers shouldn't be the end-all, be-all. Devontae Adams shouldn't be the end-all, be-all to a team at least being respectable on the field. And they were not even respectable on Sunday. And if Green Bay finished up right around 500, I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay. Listen, I think that's a fair assessment, even though the Saints thing was a little, not real. Saints are great. They did great. And they're going to back that up this weekend when they bust the Bucs up.
Yeah.
But
I didn't give mine.
A team that just lost in the Super Bowl 28-3. But
I didn't give mine, but I'll be brief.
I thought you already gave yours. How did I miss you? I'm sorry.
Go
ahead.
My
Please
best is like
Please
you.
forgive me, sir.
Nah, you're fine. The best was the Vikings. I thought they played well. My worst me give it to the Cowboys and the Rams. OBJ was on the sideline dancing. He should have been on the field. So give it to him. And the Cowboys, we already beat that dead horse. So my surprise team was the Giants. You guys did good. And I saw something on TV. I saw Dabo holding Daniel Jones accountable, which, I thought that was pretty cool. So definitely, I don't think he's had that done in quite a while. So I'll give it to you guys. Giants was my surprise.
All right, and we'll see. Like I said, it's one game. I'm not gonna overreact. Let's get to the college. We'll start with you, Mr. Major. We'll close out with this. Who's your best worst surprise in the college?
My best, I got Georgia and Michigan. Cam, we got them in the league. We got Michigan.
Did 7 of them.
Hold on, just week 2.
Just week 2. Yeah,
just week 2.
Yeah, so I got Georgia and Michigan for my best. My worst was Notre Dame.
Michigan surprised you by beating Hawaii by 40.
No, that's just the way that they beat them.
That surprised you?
He said his best.
I said that was his best.
That was my best.
He said that was his best. Keep going, Chad.
My worst was Notre Dame, and my surprise, Texas and Alabama. I thought Alabama was gonna, I didn't think it was gonna be that close of a game, so that was my surprise.
Okay. You got the same exact thing?
I don't know who you're talking to. My answer is no.
No. That was Cam. You got the exact same thing.
I got the exact same thing.
Okay. All right. Jesse, go ahead.
It's the way Michigan won.
It was. Yeah. It was dominant. It was dominant. Yeah.
Exactly.
Go ahead, Jess.
My worst of the week, I want to say it's hands down, but it's a neck and neck tie between Notre Dame and A&M. I don't know how a top 5 team coming into the preseason and their pedigree and legacy, and I get Kelly and all that, but his recruiting class was there. I mean, they should have picked up relatively close to where they left off, and they lost to Marshall. And then A&M at home against Appalachian State.
That's what they do.
That's not a game. That's a 55-10 win.
Appalachian should be 2-0. They should have beat North
Carolina. I was going to say Appalachian should be 2-0. Real talk.
Yeah. So those are my worst games by far. My surprise was Texas. I couldn't bet them with the 20-point line because that would have been a biased pick with my heart. I don't think they're going to be there for another year or two. But was that
really a 20-point line on that game?
Yeah, 19.5 or something like that.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. In Texas.
Yeah. Talk about baiting you.
He told me before the game. He said, Cam, I can't do it because it would hurt everything that I'm rooting for.
No, I hate picking teams that I'm rooting for. You know what I mean? Like I hate I don't want to make picks out of bias. I don't want to put money on bias, right? And I would have been rooting for Texas, so I would have thought, Sark's changed them and he's got some players in that he wanted, and all these different things. Their quarterback got hurt on what was it, the first or second series?
It was early.
Yeah, their starting quarterback got hurt early, and they saved in it like that. So I mean, and realistically, Texas should have won that game. So, but that was my biggest surprise. I thought they still would have lost by a few touchdowns, and then best game of the week for me, which is a little confusing, but it goes back to base off of the first week results. Best game of the week for a team that needed the best game of the week in that moment was Utah. The way that they came back.
Big bounce back.
Ended up winning by almost 70 points. I think that
the
covers
same
a lot
thing
of the
about the
loss.
Michigan. They didn't play nobody.
Yeah, but they
didn't play anybody in week 1.
Okay, I'm just saying, can we say the same thing about Michigan? Michigan pulled the dogs off in the fourth quarter on both games.
Yeah.
Well, that's his best. So there you go. I'll be brief because I know we're running out of time. my best has not changed. It's Georgia. It's going to be Georgia. They are the best team in the country. It's not close. Worst.
Not close? Is that what you said?
I don't think it's close.
You snuck that in there. You didn't say it real loud. You just said not close.
I don't think it's close.
All right. Okay.
We can revisit that next week, but I don't think it's close.
Right. They shut out Samford. I said they shut out Samford.
That doesn't matter.
Okay.
That doesn't matter.
What state Samford is?
You're supposed to beat down a team that shouldn't be on the field with you in the first place. And
by more than 33?
But listen, it does not matter. They beat them down. Alabama is my worst, not because they are the worst, but because I was very shocked that they didn't dominate that game. They didn't dominate that game. And my surprise team was Texas and also Kentucky. Kentucky has not won in the swamp in 6-7 years. And
I lost money on that one.
Yeah, man. I don't blame you the way you did. I was shocked that Kentucky maintained points.
I lost money on Florida. I lost money on Baylor.
Wow.
BYU?
That was a good game, too. That was a really good game.
I lost big money on Baylor.
So, well, gentlemen, that is it. We got shout-outs real quick. So if you got some quick ones we can do real quick, go ahead, jump in there.
Shout-outs to the Indianapolis Colts for for cutting our kicker. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Man. That had a hint of pissed off in it.
You missed the game-winning field goal. Before that, you kicked the ball out of bounds. In overtime, you kicked the ball out of bounds. Yeah, you got to go.
He didn't have a good day. He didn't have a good day. I agree.
You got to go.
Okay. All right. Chad, what you doing?
Shout out Steph Curry. About to sign that $1 billion deal.
Jesus, man.
Under Armour.
Jesus, man.
So put him in that one Billy group. Also, it's still free BG. I'm not sure what's going on with that, but it's still free BG all day.
Free BG, yeah.
But that's all I got, man. Oh, and shout out to Eric Johnson, the mayor, man. Let's get that second team, man.
Oh my goodness. Jesse, what you doing? Who you shouting out this week?
I'm gonna do an early shout out to Tom Brady, who's about to win his first regular season game against the Saints.
Yeah, that's not gonna
happen. And Jameis Winston's about to get exposed for a second week in a row. So shout out to Tampa Bay and Tom Brady for making the Saints look even more pedestrian than they actually are.
Awesome. Appreciate that. We don't normally tell lies on this show, but I guess that was acceptable. Shout out to the Las Vegas.
Hey, Lord, next week soundbite before the show.
Without question.
We should have, no matter what the team is, it should be whatever Jesse just said. No matter what the results are.
Question.
Okay.
Without question. Right. Mine, before we go, shout out to
always bet on me, by the way.
Shout out to Las Vegas Aces and Chelsea Gray. You are unbelievable, ma'am. And you and Aja Wilson, my God, you might be the best tandem in the league right now. Jesus.
Who did I say 4 months ago Lakers should have hired as their new head coach?
That's the road too far. But I'm a star, yeah. But she is. It does look like she's about to win her first title.
You're gonna break in her first year. If you're gonna break ground, Lloyd, you gotta take some risks.
Yeah, I don't know if the Lakers are ready to do that, but we'll see. All right, people. It's been good. It's been real. We got to bounce. I'll see y'all in the morning for Believe in the ACC. Got some great special guests. Shout out to the great Corey Fuller that'll be joining us and Rashawn Myers, and we should have a good time. But I'll see you in the morning for that. Until then, peace.
There's no mystery. Let's make history with the vibe. Oh, the strongest. plus 3. Add 1 more plus me and you got 5.